To believe these things is to belong here.
This is what Saida Varsi was talking about.
Baroness
when she
Varsi,
said
yeah.
that there are that Islamophobia is becoming the one acceptable form of prejudice, which is okay. And it's okay because people don't see the debates within Islam, don't see the discussions that are going on. I actually think we should celebrate differences, not tolerate them. Let's recognise it and get on with it.
Could I just challenge something which the Baroness said, which went unchallenged?
Okay, yes.
Use of the word Islamophobia.
Yes.
As if those of us who look at Islam and say we don't actually want this country to be an Islamic country and be governed by Islamic rules, are in some cases, in some way governed by an irrational fear. On the contrary, or a prejudice. On the contrary, it's a post-judice. We've looked at Islam. We don't like its precepts. We don't want them here because we prefer...
We don't want them here?
Prefer a Christian... We don't want the precepts of it. We don't want... No, hang on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I said we don't want the precepts.
Precepts.
The precepts. I'm not going to be misquoted in that fashion.
Fair enough.
We do not want the precepts. That's absolutely clear. We got that clear now.
We got it clear.
Right, nothing to do with not wanting Muslims here. Any kind of twisted rubbish like that. I did not say that. I do not think it.
Peter, you've made that clear.
Right, okay. We do not want... No, we do get... People with conservative views do get their views twisted in broadcast arenas, and we do need to be clear when that happens.
Peter has made that absolutely clear.
It's one of our students.
Let him finish,
when it happens... What I'm saying here is we do not want the precepts of Islam here because we do not want to live in an Islamic society.
Anyway,
that is a rational position. It is not a phobia and can't be classified as some kind of mental illness. It is a perfectly reasonable position to take, and people who want to take part in a civilized discussion should not classify the opinions of their opponents as phobias. They should take them on with reason, fact and logic, especially academics and professors.
Peter, thank you.
Is talking to him about that, I'm sure, very shortly, but also about Syria. Christina, you've got another story, because that's the other awful thing going on in front of our TV screens.
Well, I thought it would be only fair if I mentioned Christina's story, because it's...
I see.
Probably she's too modest to mention herself. Describing the misery of Aleppo, which is considerable in eastern Aleppo. But to me, the extraordinary thing about this is the attitude we have towards it, is that we still take a something must be done view of Aleppo, when in fact what's happening is that the very, very nasty al-Nusra Front, the kind of people who a few years ago we were denouncing as al-Qaeda and regarding as hopelessly impossible Islamists, are being defeated. And that city is finally going to come to the point where there will at least be peace. The only mercy in war is a swift victory, and there hasn't been a swift victory. But after nearly seven years of war in Syria, it looks as if we might be reaching the point where Saudi Arabia and us and the French and the Americans are going to give up trying to overthrow a government, and people can at last begin to rebuild the country.
And do you think there is a realpolitik case for saying that it's been a hideous war, the Russians and Assad have behaved hideously, but actually it's better for this thing to finish?
They haven't behaved any more hideously than we or our allies have behaved in Fallujah or now in Mosul.
No, come on, they have behaved... I mean, you've got people trapped in eastern Aleppo as we sit here, 300,000 people there, that are being bombed every day. They've bombed the hospitals, now they've bombed the schools.
Well, our sources for this are people inside eastern Aleppo. There hasn't, as far as I know, been a single independent Western journalist in eastern Aleppo. We rely entirely on propaganda sources, on pictures which always show wounded children being carried by noble unarmed men in heaps of rubble, and we rely on this and we take it as read. You never see any of this kind of reporting from Mosul or from Fallujah, where similar things have happened, which have been done by our side. And this blackening of the Russians just seems to me to be particularly ridiculous.
Well,
the thing is nearly over. We should be pleased at least that they can start rebuilding.
I was in Syria a few weeks ago and I saw Assad, and he's very confident because he has created a situation where it is looking like a choice between him and
If I had Putin at my shoulder, I'd be very confident too. We're going to talk a lot more about this with Boris Johnson later.